Hi guys and welcome, my name is Dude and today I am here to do my spoiler review for Call Me By Your Name. I'm ready to talk about this, I cannot wait to talk about it, let's get right into it. I should already have a spoiler-free review for Call Me By Your Name. If you want to watch that, I will link it down below. But this is spoiler talk, so yeah, if you don't want to get spoiled, then let's go. By the way, if you have not read the book but seen the movie, I still suggest you walk away because the ending of the book is a little bit different from the ending of the movie. So yeah, it's a suggestion. But if you watch the movie and you don't want to read the book, it's fine. You can stay. You know, it's not gonna be like, oh my god, too much. So Call Me By Your Name. I'm assuming you're here because you read it, and we need to talk about the ending, people. We need to talk about the ending. Now, if you haven't watched the movie, you should know that the movie ends with just when Oliver tells Elio that he's getting married. That's where it ends. It doesn't dive into their future at all. Because here you have a small part of them 20 years after what happened that summer. That doesn't happen in the movie. And I thought that was so great and so amazing for the movie because the movie ends on just a high note and it's beautiful. The last scene, man, was just the whole end credits, I couldn't stop crying my eyes out at all. I didn't cry with the book, that's important to notice. I didn't cry. I knew the ending was coming, I knew what was going to happen. I actually thought Elio killed himself in the end. I went way too far with my drama and I was like, oh my god, that was so overly dramatic. But you can tell from the beginning that it's not gonna end happy, and of course it didn't. And in the movie it's just beautiful. And in the book it's also beautiful but more contemplative. Whereas in the film, it's just devastating. But the ending, talking about those 20 years later, I didn't like that at all. I think the story as a whole is beautiful, and what I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, that it's sort of like a movie to look back on or look back on your first love and be like, yeah, I was like that. I thought that way. It was very beautiful. It was very respectable for that time and age. But I'm glad that I've moved on, you know? And here, when Elio goes to find Oliver, he's like talking about how he missed on something that could have been great, on how they had like a bucket of happiness and they were afraid to actually just seize it and they just dipped into it from time to time. And I don't like that at all. I reject it fiercely. I think that there is no point in regretting things. There is no such thing as thinking that you had the ultimate chance at happiness and you let it go and now your life will never reach that level of happiness again. I hate that. I think that's bullshit. I think that you made choices every single day, every single moment in your life. Your life is an active work of making choices, whether you do them or not. Consciously, you're just making choices that shape your life, and whichever they are, you shouldn't regret them. You should learn from them. I mean, Elio is sort of left at the mercy of Oliver, and when Oliver chooses to get married, whether it is because he was a coward or because he was sure or whatnot, Oliver is sort of left hanging there, and I get that and that pain because Elio liked who he was when he was with Oliver, and just Oliver took that away and never lets him keep on developing that, and that's heartbreaking. I remember when I was with my first love ever, I liked who I was and I liked who I was becoming and discovering this side of me that I didn't know before, and when we ended things, I just felt crushed and heartbroken because I thought I was never going to meet that version of myself again, and I did, and it was great, and you know, whatever, but that was that. And I feel that the book paints it as this sort of like, just, oh my god, we could have had it all, rolling in the deep. And I don't think that's necessarily true. You get many shots at happiness. I don't think that there's actually a literal bucket of happiness that just sort of like you can only use that bucket of happiness, and once you spend it, it just doesn't come back up. I don't believe that. It was saddening to see Oliver let something that was great go, but had they stayed together, honestly, the next book, the sequel to the story, would have been their divorce. Elio would have realized that Oliver can be kind of a dick sometimes at parties, maybe, or that, I don't know, he just farts a lot in bed. Something would have happened that would have made them hate each other in one way or another, because that's how relationships work. No one is perfect. They left the relationship at a point where they were just madly in love with each other and it was all nice and pretty and shiny, and when they cut it there, you just think that it's still gonna be pretty perfect and shiny forever, which is where you find the beauty in letting relationships mature, because no one is perfect. We're all so imperfect and everyone is so hard to love. I am very difficult to love. I'm one of the, I'm impossible to love, and yet you establish relationships and you compromise around them, and sometimes you're like, oh my god, I despise that from that person, but you still choose to be with them, which is why I think Titanic was such a great love story. Because Jack dies. So there is literally no way for that relationship to ever go bad, because it just ends at a point where it was just a peak. So it just stays at a peak, and that's what happened here. They just think it's gonna be great, but if they get together, even 20 years later, Elliot's gonna be like, well, he wasn't that great, you know, I thought he was, but he's not that great. Because that is the very condition of human existence, and if you don't believe that and you're just a hopeless romantic that, you know, love stories always stay at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100 forever, it's not true, and you're just kidding yourself. So I rejected the ending fiercely on that behalf. I don't stand by that, I don't think it's true, and I think that's actually a very childlike way of seeing things. So I didn't like that, and if it were up to me, I would just burn the very last pages of this book and just keep the rest of it, which is why I loved the movie so much. I think it was very well done, how it ended, and it worked perfectly. And so the last thing that I want to talk about in spoiler territory and address is the title. Call Me By Your Name. What does it mean to call someone by your name? As I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, I read this, listened to it with a friend, and we were both talking about it, and she was like, it sounds romantic on paper, and in the movie it sounds romantic as well, but when you think of it, it's like, what? Especially because we tried to apply that to heterosexual couples, and it was like, David. Like, can you imagine a guy calling you a guy's name? It's kind of like, it's funny. I mean, I know that names are gendered just because of society, but it was still kind of funny. She said a guy named Ernesto. Can you imagine a guy called Ernesto calling you Ernesto? It's like, what? And in general, it's a bit of a weird concept, and when we talked about it, what did it mean to call you by your name? But when we talked about what it meant to call someone by your name, we had two points of view. She thought that it was because Elio saw himself and Oliver, and they were very much the same, you know, like they saw each other as the same, so alike that, you know, you can call them by your name and they are you. How I saw it was that, you know, from the point of Elio and Oliver, how Elio likes who he is when he is with Oliver, and how he feels that Oliver gets him to a point where you can just trust them with your name, per se. You know, it's like, I'm safe within your arms, and I see myself in your eyes because I like who I am when I'm with you. Therefore, I can give you my name and you can keep it for safekeeping, per se. So it's just giving yourself entirely to them. For me, that was that perspective. You see myself as I am, and I am able to see myself within you. Therefore, I can call you by my name. That's how I thought it was. And that's what I would love to discuss in this video. If you've read the book, if you've seen the movie, what do you think it means to call someone by your name? What do you think the whole point of the story is? I think it can change a lot. I think it can be many things. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I haven't seen if the author has made a public comment about it and what he thinks it is. But as, you know, as a question, as an open question, I think it's very beautiful, and as a concept, it's also very beautiful. I don't think I'd ever do it in real life, but it's beautiful. And that's it. Those are my spoilery thoughts on Call Me By Your Name. You know, 5 out of 5 stars still. Counting the ending, it bothered me a lot. Well, not bothered me. Well, yeah, no, it did. It did bother me. It gave me so much food for thought. I used my brain a lot with this book, and that's something that I always appreciate. So, yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. Great book, great movie. Loved it. And that's all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching, and do let me know in the comment section if you liked it. If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? If you liked it, why did you? Yeah. Also, if you've made a review for it, I'd love to watch it, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!